From Hollywood's wild child to a global humanitarian icon, this is Angelina Jolie. There are celebrities, and then there are forces of nature. Angelina Jolie belongs to the second category, a woman who defied every label the world tried to place on her, who burned through Hollywood's expectations like a comet through atmosphere, and who emerged not just as one of the most recognizable faces on the planet, but as one of its most consequential human beings. Hers is not simply a story of fame, it is a story of transformation, of pain alchemized into purpose, of a woman who stared into the darkness and chose, again and again, to walk toward the light. To understand Angelina Jolie, you have to go back to the beginning. Not to the glamour, not to the red carpets, but to a girl growing up in the shadow of a famous father, carrying a weight that most people never see. Born on June 4th, 1975, in Los Angeles, California, Angelina Jolie Voight was the daughter of Academy Award-winning actor Jon Voight and actress Marcelline Bertrand. Her parents divorced when she was just a year old, and she grew up largely with her mother, absorbing the instability of a broken household while simultaneously inheriting a genetic gift for the screen that was almost unfair in its magnitude. She struggled. She acted out. She carried scars, literal and figurative, that would follow her into adulthood. She attended the Lee Strasberg Theater and Film Institute as a child, quit, returned to acting in her late teens, and immediately announced herself to the world with a ferocity that the industry had rarely encountered before. Her early career was a series of escalating signals that something extraordinary was coming. She appeared in low-budget films, music videos, and television movies, each role a rehearsal for the explosion that was building inside her. Then came 1999, and with it, a performance that changed everything. Girl Interrupted was not just a film, it was a detonation. Based on Susanna Kaisen's memoir about her time in a psychiatric institution in the late 1960s, the movie featured Winona Ryder in the lead role. But it was Angelina Jolie playing the charismatic, terrifying, deeply wounded sociopath Lisa Rowe who walked away with the film entirely. What she did in that movie should not have been possible for a 23-year-old actress. Lisa was not simply a villain, she was a mirror held up to the audience, reflecting something raw and uncomfortable and deeply human. The seductive danger of someone who has rejected every social contract, who lives entirely outside the boundaries the rest of us cling to for survival. Jolie played her with a magnetic ferocity that was impossible to look away from, delivering a performance that crackled with electricity in every single frame she occupied. The Academy agreed. When Angelina Jolie walked up to receive the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress in March of 2000, she did so having already transformed the conversation around what a young actress could be in Hollywood. She was wild. She was unguarded. She kissed her brother on the lips at the ceremony and the press went insane. She wore a vial of blood around her neck. She said things in interviews that no publicist would have scripted. She was, in every possible sense, ungovernable. And audiences were absolutely fascinated. Here was someone who did not play the game, who could not be packaged into a safe, marketable persona, who seemed to carry genuine darkness within her and make no apologies for it whatsoever. Girl Interrupted did not just win her an Oscar. It announced the arrival of one of the most complex, compelling screen presences of her generation. But Hollywood, being Hollywood, wanted to know what she would do next. And what Angelina Jolie did next was something that nobody saw coming. She reinvented herself entirely and became one of the biggest action stars on the planet. When Lara Croft, Tomb Raider hit theaters in June of 2001, it arrived with enormous skepticism. Video game adaptations had a notoriously poor track record, and casting a serious, Oscar-winning actress as a fictional British archaeologist who fights supernatural villains with twin pistols seemed like an odd creative gamble. What the skeptics failed to account for was the fact that Angelina Jolie was not like other actresses. She trained relentlessly. She learned to handle weapons, studied martial arts, prepared her body with the dedication of a professional athlete. And when she appeared on screen as Lara Croft, with those ice blue eyes, that physical power, that absolute command of every space she occupied, the film industry shifted on its axis. She was not simply playing an action hero. She was one. She brought the same fierce intelligence to Lara Croft that she had brought to Lisa Rowe, grounding the character in a gravity that the material alone could never have provided. The movie was a massive global hit, grossing nearly $300 million worldwide, and it established Jolie not just as a dramatic actress but as a genuine box office force. A rare combination that Hollywood had almost never seen in a woman before. The success of Tomb Raider opened a new chapter, and Angelina Jolie ran through it at full speed. She became one of the highest-paid actresses in the world. She headlined franchises. She commanded budgets that had previously been the exclusive territory of male stars. And she did it all while making choices that kept her artistically restless, refusing to be confined to any single lane. She made intense, literary films, She made enormous summer blockbusters. She occupied both worlds simultaneously and made it look effortless, even when it clearly was not. Then came Mr. and Mrs. Smith in 2005, and the entire planet seemed to stop and stare. The film, a sleek, stylish action comedy about two married assassins who discover they've been hired to kill each other, was a commercial juggernaut and a cultural phenomenon, and not entirely because of its script. The chemistry between Jolie and co-star Brad Pitt was so palpable, so electric, that audiences felt it radiating off the screen like heat. The film grossed nearly $480 million globally and became one of the defining pop culture events of the mid-2000s. Jolie was at the absolute apex of her celebrity. The most photographed woman on Earth, the subject of tabloid obsession so intense that it bordered on collective madness. But even at the height of that noise, there were glimpses of the artist underneath. Of a woman who was thinking beyond all of it, whose interior life was becoming more expansive, more urgent, more oriented toward the world outside the frame. That interior life found its greatest screen expression in 2008, when Angelina Jolie delivered what many critics and film scholars consider her finest dramatic performance. Changeling, directed by Clint Eastwood, based on the harrowing true story of Christine Collins, a Los Angeles mother in 1928 whose missing son is returned to her by police, only for her to realize the boy they brought back is not her child. The film asked Jolie to carry an almost unbearable emotional weight across 2.5 hours of screen time. And she did it. She did it with a restraint and a depth that silenced even her harshest critics. There is a scene in Changeling, a quiet scene, nothing explosive about it, in which Collins simply looks at a child who is not her son and must decide how to respond, must decide what to do with the fact that the world is asking her to accept a lie as truth. Watching Jolie in that moment is watching an actress working at the very limit of what the medium can contain. She received her second Academy Award nomination for the role, and while she did not win, the performance stands as proof, if proof were still needed, that she was never simply a movie star. She was an artist of the highest order. But here is the part of Angelina Jolie's story that transcends cinema entirely, the chapter that reframes everything that came before it and reveals the true shape of a life that was always reaching towards something larger than itself. In 2001, the same year Tomb Raider was breaking box office records, Jolie traveled to Cambodia while filming a movie and experienced something that cracked her open at a foundational level. She saw poverty. She saw displacement. She saw children and families living in conditions that her previous life had given her no framework to process. And rather than return to Hollywood and leave it behind, she leaned in. She contacted the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, and in August of 2001, she was appointed a Goodwill Ambassador, a role that would become, by any honest measure, the defining commitment of her adult life. Over the following 2 decades, she conducted more than 60 field missions to some of the most dangerous and devastated regions on Earth. She visited refugees in Sierra Leone, Tanzania, Pakistan, Ecuador, Kosovo, Kenya, Thailand, Cambodia, and beyond. She sat with women who had survived unimaginable violence. She held children who had lost everything. She brought global attention to crises that the comfortable world preferred not to see. She did it not with the detached advocacy of a celebrity lending their face to a cause, but with the engaged, hands-on commitment of someone who understood, viscerally, personally, what it meant to carry pain that the world refuses to acknowledge. In 2012, she was elevated to the role of Special Envoy to the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, a position with genuine diplomatic weight, requiring her to represent the agency in high-level political discussions about the global refugee crisis. She co-founded the Preventing Sexual Violence in Conflict Initiative with former British Foreign Secretary William Hague, working at the level of international law and policy to address the use of rape as a weapon of war. She testified before the United States Senate. She met with heads of state. She used every ounce of the cultural capital that Hollywood had given her and poured it into the world's most invisible, most urgent crises. She also adopted 3 children from countries devastated by conflict: Maddox from Cambodia, Zahara from Ethiopia, Pax from Vietnam, and gave birth to 3 more with Brad Pitt. She became, in the most literal possible sense, a citizen of the world, a woman whose private life reflected the same borderless compassion that animated her public advocacy. When she publicly disclosed her decision to undergo a preventive double mastectomy in 2013, after testing positive for the BRCA1 gene mutation that had killed her mother, she did so in a New York Times op-ed that was read by millions of people around the world and sparked a global conversation about genetic testing, women's health, and the courage required to make deeply personal medical decisions in the face of profound uncertainty. The piece was not the statement of a celebrity seeking sympathy. It was an act of radical transparency from a woman who had always understood, even when she was young and wild and seemingly unconscious of everything except the present moment, that her visibility carried responsibility. This is who Angelina Jolie is, not the tabloid narrative, not the carefully constructed personas the press has cycled through over the decades. The wild child, the femme fatale, the saint, the villain. She is something far more interesting and far more human than any of those labels can contain. She is a woman who grew up in pain and turned that pain into empathy, who achieved the highest levels of commercial and artistic success, and used that platform to stand in rooms where the world's most vulnerable people needed someone to see them and speak for them. Who understood, perhaps earlier than most, that the greatest performances are not the ones that happen on a soundstage. They are the ones that happen when you choose, in the face of every comfortable alternative, to show up for the world. From a girl who struggled to find her place in a fractured family, to an actress who broke every expectation Hollywood placed on her, to a humanitarian who changed the lives of millions of people she will never meet. Angelina Jolie has lived, in a single lifetime, what most people could not accomplish in several. Her legacy is not written only in box office numbers or Oscar nominations or magazine covers. It is written in the policies changed, the crises illuminated, the children who grew up and the women who survived because someone with the power to look away chose instead to stay. It is written in every person who watched her tell her own story and found in it the courage to tell theirs. Some people become famous. Angelina